Okay, and welcome to episode 2 of Let's Talk About It. So we are going to talk about recovery. Well, we're probably not going to talk about recovery.
We just said motivation.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. We
18
did.
seconds.
You literally said, we talked about recovery in the first one.
Okay, we'll talk.
You're happy with motivation. Okay.
Scott wasn't there.
Recovery then.
Yeah,
If you
because he
want-
was recovering.
Okay, so we're going.
Recovery from brain trauma.
Yeah.
You don't remember fuck all.
Also a reminder to turn your screen.
Yeah.
So
I
you had to
got
say that bit, and then he
I
forgets.
got that bit. Well, you said that bit, didn't you? So
Oh, is that going in?
That'll go in. We'll
Oh.
just do it from that
Oh,
instead.
there we
Go
go.
from that.
Starts off with me. Like everything, starts and ends with me.
Yeah, it does indeed. Does indeed. Right, so motivation.
I think
That was for 10 minutes.
we wanted to choose something that was relevant for the time, so motivation is a good one.
Yes.
The two tests of motivation are going to be carry on training without your gym, even though they're just sort of reopening
Yeah.
in whatever core conditions they're in, or someone that's also motivated just to do anything in general. So
Yeah.
how do we carry on training, or if you're someone that should have really started up something, how do you get motivated enough to start something, even though you've only got like outside your living room bodyweight movements?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah, I
So
think
why is that difficult?
Yeah, I think from a motivation point of view, we've all had times where we've gone, I don't want to do this, or I've got something else to do, or
Owly.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even when you're in the gym, sometimes it's I don't want to do
Yeah.
this.
For me, things get in the way of the gym, so it's kind of like it's the
Yeah,
there's
I
a
think-
bit. Well, it's like the fallacy of motivation. I think when it's like you couldn't stop people going when you really dedicate and you like love it, you can't stop them going to the gym. So it's like a bit of a flaw really because it's not really the really dedicated ones that are always training. You see them achieving a lot, and it's like, well, you couldn't stop them going to the gym, so that's not really the dedication bit for them or the motivation.
Their motivation is they just don't think about it.
Yeah.
They're just like, I'm going to get up. They don't think. They're just, I'm going, doing the thing. And then when it's over, they're like, oh.
Yeah, they live for
Yeah.
the gym, don't they?
So
But
we're talking more people that haven't always been into fitness and they're trying to carry on going with their fitness.
Well, no, I think.
yeah. So are you new to fitness? Have you been off for COVID? Because
Have you?
obviously there's a lot of people who haven't had access to gyms, or if they have had access to gyms as of recently, they don't want to go to them.
Yeah.
They're too scared to go to them. So it's kind of like, what
It's
could
not-
they
it's
do
not what they had
necessarily?
before. I mean,
Yeah, things have changed. The world's a different place
change
now.
is a big thing for people. People's resistance to change is where they're going to find
Yeah.
it difficult. So their motivation is going to have to carry them past that and just get them to the gym because it's harder for them to go to the gym, go and do their swim, go and do their cycling, weight training, whatever it might be. So the very fact that it's all changed again is going to be a lot for them. Going to the gym is difficult for them again.
Yeah, that is a good point. And I think probably the best thing to do is to have a look at each of us and say, right, what's our motivation? Like, why are we doing it? And then what can people look for in themselves to say, okay, why do I want to do this? So what's my goal? And I think, that's the key thing is, what is your goal? It might not be you need to go to the gym for your goal. It might be just get up and walk.
Mhm.
It might be, instead of getting in the car and going to the shops to pick up your milk, you take a walk or you take a light jog or something like that, just to add a bit of movement. And I think sometimes people get a bit confused with fitness as always being, like bodybuilders, powerlifters, Olympic lifters, all that sort of thing, as opposed to just
classifying things and turning things into little segments of things where it can just be something you do a broad range of stuff. It's not you might meant to do that.
Yeah.
I think one point on motivation would be that there's sort of two sides to it. There's the goal that should motivate you. Oh, when you finally feel like you're looking good, feeling good, or you're finally strong as you want to be, or you finally go and compete in that competition you want to compete in. And there's also the side of it, the journey you take to get there. So the journey, just that going through it day in, day out, and the sort of story of it all should be a bigger motivation than getting there. But people don't really see that. They don't enjoy the process enough.
No, and I think, especially for me, I'm speaking for myself. I mean, I've known Scott since I was a kid. Kind of got to know you more through training than anything else, and that itself, you can build friendships. It's not just the journey of the fitness side of it. It's you get to know people in the gym. People you wouldn't normally talk
It's bigger
to.
than that.
It can be intimidating. You can be, an experienced gym person. You can still be a bit intimidated to go to certain areas of the gym. You think, I'm not sure what I'm doing. People might judge me on it. But I think, in the main, most gym goers are all there for the same reason. They're all there because, they enjoy some form of fitness. And
Get those sick abs.
Exactly.
That's it. Everyone just wants abs, really.
Exactly. I just want a big walking
Yeah.
ab.
Because if you go into the gym, you'll get a Lamborghini.
It's annoying.
I mean, do any of you guys get those days, when you get up and it's kind of like going to work, going to school, and you just dread it until you get there?
Yeah.
I get gym days like that where I just get up and I'm like, I don't want to do it today. I don't want to do it. And I've got my little bag on, I'm going to the gym. It's like, no, you can't. And I get in and I'm like, not as bad as I thought it would be.
Or sometimes they're your best days.
They
Like,
usually
some
are.
guys, they're the days you go and you PR and you absolutely smash it, and you're like, I didn't really want to go and do this today, and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah,
exactly. We joke about it pretty much like every couple of months. We get a warm up that feels dreadful and it feels slow. You don't feel like you're explosive.
That's
it.
squat.
And we always joke and say, well, it's going to be brilliant because your best days, your warm ups always feel terrible.
It's
so funny because you don't want to walk in and have a great warm up because it generally doesn't feel. You've almost got a bit of a false sense of preparedness when you're training. Like, it's great. And then you go, hang on, this is really heavy. So the best sessions of them were warm-ups.
I mean, some of my best sessions was like, I was going in and I was hitting a 200 squat every day, and I'd wake up and I'd be physically sick because I knew I had to go in and do. Because just in my head, I was like, I'm hitting 200 every day. I'd just get up and I'd be like over the toilet, like just the thought of going in and hitting a squat again, and then I'd get in and I'd hit it and I'd be like, all right, that's another tick. And it's I think it was Seinfeld who said to a comedian, was like, a young comedian said to him, was like, how do you become a successful comedian? He's like, just get up every day and like write a joke and then mark it on the calendar. And the whole thing about marking on the calendar and seeing that progress makes you not want to stop writing the joke. So it's like the more you do it, the more often you do it, the process and the consistency is better for you than the actual thing that you want to do in the gym.
For 5 days and go back to it.
Because some people struggle with progressive overload. They go in and they hit a 140 squat for 5, and they're like, I have to do 145 next week. I mean, they hate it. I mean, sometimes you can go in, hit the 140 again. If you're going in, it's still that consistency that helps.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking obviously quite broadly at the moment about our numbers. We're talking about squats, we're talking about deadlifts, we're talking about 145s, 200s, all that sort of thing.
I mean, it's the same.
It doesn't have to be that
swim.
kind of journey. It could be exactly that. I got up today, I went to the pool, I got in, I did a length. And that's it. That's all you needed.
Yeah.
And then the next day, as I went in, I got in, I done a length and a quarter. I got in, I done a length and a half.
Well, if you stop swimming after a quarter, you might drown.
Well,
you need to finish the actual length.
It's at least a quarter and then getting out of the pool. Unless you just like lay there and the lifeguard's like, come on, again. They just got a special little hook for you.
Yeah, I was doing 3 quarters tonight, fuck, I'm going to have to save after 3 quarters of a length.
See, I used to always dread Mondays because Mondays was, when I was doing triathlons, was my long run days. And it was also my heavy squat day. I don't know why I decided to plan that, but my squat was like 120 at the time.
Didn't plan it.
Yeah.
That's what
I was doing starting strength. It was in Den's gym, which we all kind of met. Well, we didn't then did in Den's gym, but we all trained in Den's gym. That's how we met Chris. And so I do a squat. My max squat was probably 120 at the time, and then I go out and I do a 90-minute run every Monday. And I used to dread that every time. Yeah. Yeah, wet Wednesdays. I used to always go and swim 1K on a Wednesday and then get a double cheeseburger afterwards. It was great.
Because it doesn't matter. I mean, you're still going to be in a deficit.
Exactly.
You lost like 80 kilos at the time. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So a cheeseburger's not going to have you.
Yeah. I mean, that is a good point because obviously, like I said, I've not known Chris anywhere near as long as I've known Scott. If you'd have said to me,
You've got his name there.
That is, yeah. Scoot. 1 year I did write that on your birthday card. My spelling's atrocious. And I literally wrote 2 Scoots, and I was like, that's not how you spell his name. Don't you look at me like that. Keiran.
K-E-R. What?
I can't even spell my name.
Kearney. My name is Kearney. Right, of course. What membership are you training, Kieran?
At the moment, quarantine motivated me, actually, to be perfectly honest. That's kind of what got me back into training. So I was training quite hard, maybe sort of early last year, so it's December through to about April. I was training quite hard, but I was probably training for the wrong reasons. I was training just to lose weight, and that was it. It was like, more like an aesthetics thing. I was training as much as I can just to try. And I got myself down to, we had this conversation again.
Yeah.
I got myself down to 72 kilos. So like pretty much on the dot. Yeah, pretty much on the dot. And then when quarantine started, it was, I'm using this time to relax. Like, I'm having a bit, how often are you going to get 8% of your wage to not have to go to work? So it's like, it's kind of the dream, and it's like people say it, and then it happens, and you're like, okay, well, I can't go anywhere, I can't do anything, I'm going to eat and I'm going to drink. Just
think how well your recovery is as well.
Yeah.
Because you're coming in here, smashing the gym, and then you can recover.
I wasn't to start with.
To
start with, it was literally, food and drink. I think for most people, it was like alcohol sales booms, because there was nothing else to do, so people were just getting drunk, and they were just, drinking beer, drinking wine. So it was like 2 bottles of wine a week, and then drinking whatever. And then I thought, I've got a gym, I'm going to use it, which is what we're sat in now. And
and that's another thing that motivates you. Is like you've got something to take pride in.
Yeah, so for me, it then becomes that, and then it was like, right, okay, I've said for a long time I'm going to compete again, which was a long time ago. I'm going to compete once, and then it was like, I think the problem for me is I've wrestled for such a long time. So I'd wrestled for 13 years. I went straight from wrestling, retired out of wrestling, and then went straight into powerlifting. Yeah. So there was always something going on, and when I sort of done my first competition, it was almost like, right, okay, I'm done now. I wanted a bit of time where I wasn't doing anything. It was like, I'm just going to have some time doing nothing.
So that's a bit of a effective competition. Sometimes people go through all of that, and like you do achieve that goal, and instead of going straight back into comps, because some sports are like that, you should be competing every week, like game sports and maybe athletics has got a bit of a short season, but you are quite consistently competing. Powerlifting can be different. You can definitely have times out to train and get to where you want to be. And then stick yourself back in there.
Yeah, and I think when quarantine started, there was nothing to do. It was like, what do you do? It was like, okay, well, I've got a gym, I'm going to use it, I'm going to set myself a goal. So my goal was 200 kilo deadlift, 200 kilo squat, and 100 kilo bench. So out of the 3 of them, I've already hit one of those goals. Yeah. So I'm happy to that.
And deadlift, you're there, thereabouts.
Yeah, I mean, until I hit the number, and it's filmed and it's put on Instagram for everyone to see, obviously, it doesn't really exist.
And then me and Scott, so we haven't done any comps.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm not too. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever compete again.
So what? How about you then? That's a good point. What is your motivation then?
I mean, it's just losing weight. I had a tough time, and caused me to gain quite a bit of weight. So just kind of get back where I was weight wise. I think I'll be. I mean, luckily I still lifted while gaining a chunk of weight. So I think I've got a good base. So it's just kind of. Weight loss is everything at the minute. Keeping the diet,
a lot of muscle mass, which is handy, so I'll definitely help you.
Yeah, so that's kind of where it is. I mean, it's just kind of get back where I was. I just want to be athletic again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's kind of interesting about that I was saying in the car on the way over here, is our dynamic is so different that it kind of reaches so many different people.
Yeah, yeah.
What their actual goals are. I mean, Chris has been competing. You've competed at a very high level. A high level for us.
I mean, Britons.
At national level, not like particularly high.
Yeah,
but most people would consider that a fairly high level, like for the norm. Like you competed at Britons, you competed at the England's, around. So several times, and I think for you it's more trying to get back into that. Is that right? Or
I think work's just been. That's a good point. Yeah, I never really thought about that. I always think of like motivation as like what your goals are. So my goals always to be definitely to be as strong as possible. I just think. Mentally and physically, it's just the most important component to anyone's training. That's just me, and all the things I've read and the sort of people I listen to. That's just always fascinated me, and it's also what I went to when I was competing. Like, well, definitely powerlifting. I also had to focus on strength. That's what the sport is. But other things like when we played rugby, I had to get stronger and bigger for that to then compete in like the men's game, etc. But the motivation. Good point is to get back there because work's been demanding for the last couple of years. And that is an excuse, but to get back into competing. Massive goal.
I think that's a good point, actually, is that work. I mean, I work with so many people where it is, it's a demanding job for a lot of them that work there. And, the time factor becomes part of it. So what do you think when you've got people who are working long hours and then that becomes the norm and then fitness takes a back seat to it? And then there becomes kind of a vicious cycle a little bit because you've got that kind of, I'm not happy with myself because I don't feel good. They're more than likely eating not very good food because they're probably rushing.
They're not going to enjoy working long hours. They're not going to want the job too much.
So, that becomes that kind of mental crush on them a little bit. And it's, for them, to me, my advice would be, even if you're just going to get home and you're just going to go out and do a 10-minute walk, that 10-minute walk is going to make you feel so much better than you just sitting on the couch. And and I think one of the other things to do as well is to just say that you're going to go and do something and then do it, but do it straight away. I think the minute you sit on the couch, you sit on your bed, you put the telly on, you go into the kitchen, you start making dinner. As soon as that happens, that's it. It's off the agenda. And I think that probably one of the key things, there's quite a few people have said it. Actually, one of the podcasts I listened to, I think he says, eat the frog legs first. Because the point is just get that done and out of the way. That's the worst part.
Yeah, yeah.
Get it done, and once it's done,
eat the frog leg, and then
it's a Scott Baptiste,
and then the escargot.
Yeah. So just to get it done and out of the way. And you might not be a morning person, so getting up early might not be the best thing for you. And there are people, there are some people that are mad and get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and go out and do their cardio, but that isn't most people.
No.
99% of people want to stay in that bed that half an hour longer.
Yeah, if it's not for you, I mean, you're already trying to make a big change in your life, a lot of effort into something. So why would you sort of shoot yourself in the foot early and say, the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get 5, train for 40 minutes, then start my morning routine for work. It's not realistic, so people have to think what's going to be best for them.
And I don't believe, in the gym, we talk about it, but that sleep when you're dead mentality. When you're in here and you're pumped up, you can say shit like that, and it's kind of a joke, but I wouldn't want to get up at 4 a.m. if you're working a 9 to 5 and, and then trying to do stuff, and even if you've got family, you're just not recovering.
Exactly.
So you're not going to improve, because people really forget about the recovery side of it. They're always blasting, all that stuff.
we said about this the other day, and one of the main things for recovery is sleep. You can have as many supplements as you want, you can eat the best food in the world, but if you're not sleeping properly, and you're doing 3 hours of sleep or 4 hours of sleep, your recovery is not going to be optimum.
No.
You're going to have wasted all that time because nothing's getting back to the way it was.
Yeah. That's the number one thing that makes it hard.
Yeah. And I think
going to I'm tired, and it's because you're not recovering.
Yeah.
Just on what you were saying with people, or even what we were all saying about routines and doing stuff early and then doing 9 to 5 and then family stuff. It's like a lot of psychological theories or a lot of stuff you want to consider with people's behaviour comes down to self-sabotage.
Yeah.
When they sort of think they probably don't really believe they're going to deserve the best life they can.
Yeah, and I've been there.
So they think, well, I should do that now. I'll do that for other people, and then people see me in a better light. So they'll be a bit of a yes person, and they'll just keep doing stuff. And that's never going to be work towards their personal goal, is it?
No, exactly.
They'll have some very poor quality training at the beginning of the day if they do it in the morning, or straight after work. Very poor quality training, very undernourished, not hydrated. Just get out of the way. Just do it. That's my fitness thing. It's probably done them more harm, and then go and be a dad, be a mum, whatever after it. So if you're really focused, and it becomes what you said earlier, you describe it as a vicious cycle. Well, you need a new vicious cycle in the right way to get your fitness.
And I think that's kind of where quarantine really sat in for me, is that there wasn't anything else to do. So it became its own routine. It became and then going back to work, it was now in my head, it's certainly installed in my head, is right, what do I need to do to make sure I can keep that routine going? And that becomes as much a priority as making sure that the effort I'm putting into work is the same effort I'm putting into my life. Because, if without being able to function properly, then you're not going to be able to put the work in that you would be doing at work. You're not going to be able to do it at home. And it just becomes pushing rubbish on top of rubbish on top of rubbish. That bin never gets emptied.
Yeah.
And I think that was one good thing for quarantine, is that kind of bin then got emptied and allowed us to say, right, well, how am I going to...
Some people joke about getting prison jacked. I'll go to jail just to get jacked.
Yeah.
Doing some towel skull crushers.
Yeah. And as much pasta as you can physically get. Super noodles.
Is that what they eat? And then they go and do I don't know, litter picking, and they get another tin of tuna for it?
Yeah.
Why do they fucking deserve it?
Yeah.
Whoa, okay. Wow, that took a sour turn.
Or you could just shank a guy for a couple of packs of ramen and tuna. That might be
shake him upside down like in the cartoon.
Shank.
Shank. Shaking so it's all his food falls out of pockets.
I mean, I don't think prison's like in cartoons. Home by an ankle, I'm like, give me your stuff.
All the little chains around their ankles.
No, sir, please don't. Hey, get out of here, kid.
And then Scott stabbing somebody. And it's like,
Chris,
just to get the ramen.
I'm going on death row now, Chris, because you decided to shake a guy.
We thought we were going to just shank him.
If we both stabbed him, they wouldn't know who it was, and we'd be scot-free. Now I'm not free.
Scott's not free.
Yeah, exactly. He's in prison for shanking somebody.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, I mean, I think we've covered quite a lot then when it comes to sort of mental preparedness for the gym and motivation and things to keep you motivated. So I think really is, get up and do something. That might not be going to the gym. That might just be going for a walk. It might be going for a swim. It might just be, spending time with your kids and playing with your kids. But I think it's just a case of being able to set aside a set of time that's for you and making sure that it improves yourself. So thank you for all watching episode 2 or listening, depending on how you have us on this. So we will see you again shortly. Thanks for watching.
Peace.